Earlier today, I was hoping to get a video out talking about the coming winter storm warning that is headed our way. And a couple of days ago, they were forecasting that this storm is going to dump feet of snow, not just inches of snow. And they said 5+ feet of snow. Then they said 90 inches in our area. And the latest is up to 30 inches along the foothills of the Rocky Mountains towards Boulder and in the Boulder County area and up towards Denver and the I-25 corridor, which goes all the way up to Fort Collins and continues on up to Wyoming and further south down Denver down to Colorado Springs and all. If you remember my last video about the frogabots, you'll remember that the last thing that I talked about was the rabbis in Israel saying that the winter storm that Texas just went through was nothing compared to what is coming. And they were saying that the snowstorms and ice storms were going to get so bad that the farmers' seeds were going to be ruined and they would not be able to get their seeds planted in time to grow the crops. And so that's going to lead to famine, according to what they said in the Israeli newspaper. According to the Weather Channel, this was the latest. It went from a winter storm watch to a winter storm warning. Now, is this part of what the rabbis were supposedly predicting was going to get worse and increase, and that these unprecedented blizzards and snowstorms dumping heavy snow precedes the coming of the Messiah? Well, we're about to get hit by this major storm. So this is the latest from my area in Colorado, which is near Boulder. A winter storm warning in effect from 5 a.m. Saturday to 6 a.m. Mountain Time Monday. Heavy snow possible. Total snow accumulations of 14 to 24 inches possible. Accumulations up to 30 inches possible near Boulder and Fort Collins. And I'm right in between that area right there. Winds could gust up as high as 35 miles per hour. Fort Collins, Boulder, and the western suburbs of Denver. Denver, Castle Rock, and Greeley. From 5 a.m. Saturday to 6 a.m. Monday, Mountain Time. Travel could be very difficult to impossible. Additional details. Finish preparation for this storm by Friday. Conditions will likely deteriorate quickly Saturday as the storm arrives. Precautionary preparedness actions. If you must travel, keep an extra flashlight, food, and water in your vehicle in case of an emergency. The latest road conditions for Colorado can be obtained by calling 511 or by going to www.cotrip.org. So, I notified a friend that I'm connected with through the internet, through my channel, and I told her, and she had no idea the storm was coming. So thank God I told her, because she was able to get to the store yesterday and get preparations. And she also told another gentleman who had no idea, and he was able to get prepared. She posted it to Facebook and all. And I've been trying to get prepared as well. I went to Target to see if they had any little lanterns for camping, and literally they had this little one right here, just a micro lantern. It was the only one. And then of course they wanted nearly $10 for batteries, which was outrageous. So I went to the grocery store and got those, and they happened to be on sale for $4.49 or something like that. So I got this little lantern in case the power goes out, and hopefully it'll stay lit. I have the Shabbat candles that my sister had given me. I also had bought some candles to fit in that are like colonial style candles. They're kind of thick and tall, and this is what they look like. And then I do have a fireplace lighter that I bought, kind of like a long nozzle one. As I went back to the store this evening to pick up a couple of items that I forgot, I was pretty alarmed at the clearing out of various sections of the grocery store. The eggs, for example, were completely gone, and in the milk area, the vast majority of that was gone. Where all the produce was, one whole wall where the bagged lettuce and spinach, that was all cleared out. And I didn't make it over to the meat section, but you know, I was only able to get a couple of things to last me for only a couple of days, and they're saying this is going to be a multiple day event. So interesting that the rabbis kind of somehow knew that this was coming beforehand. So as I was trying to go get a flashlight, and when I got to Target tonight, they had this complete area where they had all these flashlights, and the guy said yesterday it was completely full and the whole thing was cleared out. And if I can get the pictures up here, I'll show you what the flashlight area looked like, and I'll show you what the stores look like. And this is before the snow hits. It's interesting that I read you that article where they said in the Israel newspaper that this was coming. And how did they know that? Anyway, having to buy these extra items that I really cannot afford to get is really putting a strain on my financial situation right now, on top of everything. And then I'm hoping I won't be snowed in on my birthday next Wednesday, because that is already a stressor for me, dealing with just such a drastic change on that day with not having my mom around. But I was really shocked at the amount of the goods that were gone already from the grocery store, and this is way before there's even any snow on the ground. Now, you know, if you live in Colorado, you know that a lot of the semi-trucks full of the groceries and the goods for the stores, they come across the mountain passes. And of course they always have to put chains on their tires. But if the trucks can't get through and the store shelves already have no eggs, what is that going to say when we're in the midst of the storm or thereafter? You know, if this storm lingers like they're saying, and I don't know how they know it's going to be lingering, but anyway, I'm just keeping my prayers to God to help me. And, you know, according to this, it says that traveling anywhere will be near to impossible. And I'm sure that being in the kind of car that I have, it's not, you know, a four-wheel drive vehicle, so it will not be the best for getting around in anything. 30 inches of snow would probably be up over my knees, I would imagine. I was told that they may have a generator here at the hotel but he was uncertain whether it is enough power to power the refrigerators or the stovetop. You know, just the basics, like just to keep the lights and the heat on. So hopefully, if the power goes out, which could possibly happen with, you know, March, this March and April are known as some of our snowiest months, and that's because, like, in the middle of winter, you have the bitter cold snows, like we had that -10 that was so unusual, and it was just bitter cold. But when you get to March, it's always a heavy, heavy snow, huge flakes, with flakes coming down, you know, in abundance. I don't know how to put it, but just like a huge blizzard of heavy snowflakes. And it's usually in spring, you know, pre-spring, it's very heavy, wet snow. And it used to be very backbreaking to shovel the driveway, which was very long, and I did it for years and years. And sometimes it would be, in some rare occasions, close to being up to my knees. And I think I showed that in one of my almond tree videos where I had that little branch open the flower, and it was snowing outside, and I went and stuck it out there and took pictures of it in that deep snow. It was part of the story, and it was pretty amazing. It was one of my earlier videos when I first started this Elijah and Moses channel that was originally to put my book trailer up and show that I had written this book of an end-time testimony for the Lord. And so now we are about to get inundated with snow, and I have no idea what to expect. Sometimes in Colorado, if the roads have heated up, which we've had very nice days lately where it was almost like shorts weather, if the roadways have had the sun beating on them, heating them up, sometimes a lot of the snow can melt as it's coming down. And then if you have a freezing situation, you'll have a big thick layer of ice underneath the heavy snow that comes down. So we just need to pray about this storm, and that the trucks will be able to get through the overpasses in the mountains. But I'm right in the middle of where they said all of this is going to happen. One of the first articles that popped up March 8th said 5+ feet of snow could land in Colorado in upcoming days. And before that, I had seen, you know, that this was coming. I had seen, you know, like a map showing the huge place where it's going to land, right where I am. And it says, "That's not a typo," wrote Joel Grants of OpenSnow.com, as he predicted up to 60 inches of snow to land in Colorado in upcoming days. High-end modeling shows the possibility of even more, and it's likely to land in a spot that doesn't typically get totals over a few inches. So usually what happens is, you know, we'll get inches down here, but up in the foothills in the mountains, they'll usually get feet of snow. But there's the occasional thing where we get dumped feet of snow. I remember standing in the driveway one time with just tears streaming down my face because the snow was so deep. It was up to my knees, and I was trying to shovel it. And I mean, we've got like this huge long driveway, and I was trying to do it by myself, and it was just almost impossible, really. It says, while Monday and Tuesday are set to be mostly dry around the Centennial State, the following days are expected to bring quite a bit of snow to Colorado, favoring the area east of the Continental Divide. While most storms tend to drop higher totals in the mountains to the west of this geographic feature, this storm is expected to favor the mountains of the Front Range extending east. closest to major cities like Denver and Colorado Springs, with a chance of big totals in these metro areas. According to Joel Grants of OpenSnow.com, the incoming winter storm is expected to be lengthy, with a first wave dropping between 5 to 15 inches on most mountains between Tuesday night and Thursday, followed by another stronger wave that is expected to pound eastern mountains and beyond, with between 2 up to 5 feet of snow through Sunday. Now see, I think the mountains already did get the first wave of snow up there on Tuesday. I remember reading. Some modeling calls for even higher totals under the perfect conditions. A recent tweet from the Boulder branch of the National Weather Service indicates days of snow, while also addressing a high degree of uncertainty that remains in regard to determining intensity, duration, and timing. And of course, now they're saying we could get up to 30 inches of snow. That's actually a lot of snow to walk through. If snow totals reach higher end forecast predictions, this could be the most significant storm to hit the Front Range this snow season. While a recent storm dropped more than a foot in the Denver area, it would pale in comparison to possible totals that could result from this storm blowing through. It's also expected that the Front Range 14ers will get hammered, and that's the high peaks, with more than 50 inches in a single 24-hour period possible on Pikes Peak. And Pikes Peak's just right over there. This will add onto fresh snow from previous days. That first article came on March 8th. This one came on March 10th that said 90 inches of snow possible during upcoming snowstorm in Colorado. As a big March snowstorm approaches Colorado, many people on the Front Range should expect to see snow totals in the range of 20 to 40 inches. That being said, multiple forecasters have mentioned possible totals above 7 feet in some smaller pockets of the state. A lot of times, out on the eastern plains, where, they have the cows in the fields and all of that, they will have these heavy snowstorms where, the snow will just blow across the roads and the highways, and the visibility will be terrible. And so I'm sure that they're expecting that to happen out that way. Included in Open Snow's daily report, the American Global Forecast System mapping shows that a small pocket of Colorado could get between 60 and 90 inches of snow from Thursday night through Monday. And if these trucks can't get through the overpasses to replenish what's empty now, then in a few days, it's going to take them probably a few days to get through that storm to even get here to replenish the stock. So you might keep me in your prayers and everybody along here along the Front Range. It goes on to say the pocket of Colorado that could get hit with this more intense snowfall, based on the American GFS report, includes the area surrounding Eldora Mountain Resort in Boulder County. Well, that's just kind of across from Niwot, up in the mountains, and Boulder is further south. So it says that the area includes surrounding Eldora Mountain Resort in Boulder County, stretching north, so that would be coming my direction, going all the way up north to the Wyoming state line. Forecast mapping from KDVR also shows a possibility of similar totals, with 91 inches in the forecast for Estes Park throughout the entirety of the storm. Now, if you remember during the summer when I showed you And I even cried about it because Estes Park was one of the places my mom took us all as kids. And I used to love to go to the store where they sold moccasins. And I would get the Minnetonka moccasins. And it was just such a fun place to go as a kid. And over the summer, the fires were surrounding Estes Park. Like any minute, Estes Park was about to burn down. And then we all prayed, do you remember? And God sent that unlikely snowstorm, and that was the beginning of snuffing that whole thing out. And believe me, it was an entire, it was almost 2 whole months from what I can remember, at least July, August, and part of September that were completely smoky skies. And now they're saying that the snowstorm up there in Estes Park could get 91 inches. Wow. According to most forecast models, the heaviest widespread snow during the weekend storm is expected to fall along the I-25 corridor from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins, with the highest accumulation totals in the mountains directly west of this interstate. The portion of Colorado west of the Continental Divide is expected to get notable snow, but nowhere near the multiple feet that are expected on the Front Range, and that's where I am. The Colorado Department of Transportation has already warned drivers against traveling around much of Colorado this weekend, including sections of I-25 and I-70. I-25 is the one that runs north and south all the way from, it keeps going out of the state and everything, but it runs through Denver and goes all the way north up the Wyoming into Cheyenne and up that direction. I-70 is the one that runs the east-west and goes up into the mountains down there by Denver. And drivers that are traveling have been instructed to get to their destination before the storm starts to ramp up Friday night into Saturday morning. Winter weather of this nature poses many hazards. It's crucial that Coloradoans stay up to date with the most current forecast. Find information from the National Weather Service on their website and check out the OpenSnow.com daily report for more information. And you can get on the KDVR forecast report as well. Anyway, I'll put the links in the description box about these articles. Now, I wanted to mention something else, that they talked about the year 2020, and they talked about the whole year of 2020 being a time of sorrow. And that was a headline in the paper. When I saw that, it just struck me, the beginning of sorrows that the Bible speaks of. These are the beginning of sorrows. But remember in my last video, the Frogabot video, the last thing that I read to you was from the Israel newspaper, and it was titled, Snow and Famine, Tribulation, 7-year sabbatical cycle to start in September to usher in the redemption and Messiah. That was the article I just read before this snowstorm started blowing into the picture, literally. And of course, we're coming into the time of Passover, and it's being reported that prominent rabbis are asking Netanyahu to allow the Passover sacrifice on the Temple Mount. And of course, they asked permission last year, and they did it in another area and did not get the permission. But they're asking again. So basically, when I read that article about the snow that would lead to famine, they were saying that we were going to get snowstorms that were going to linger and last, and cause the crops not to be able to grow, leading to famine. And of course, I told you that they said that this September is going to be the start of a 7-year cycle of the sabbatical cycle, and that it would usher in the redemption and the Messiah. And it says that snow this month is a harbinger of famine preceding redemption. So what are the odds of me reading that article about the snow and the famine and the coming tribulation that the rabbi said was going to be a tribulation, and at the same time he's saying that the sabbatical 7-year cycle starts in September? And to me, a 7-year cycle could indicate the start of the 7-year tribulation. And this past year that they called a year of sorrow could be the beginning of sorrows and leading right into the tribulation. I no longer have our garage to put my car in, so it's going to have to sit out there and let the snow fall all around it. But I'm just praying that God would protect us in the snowstorm and provide all that we need, food and electricity and water. And I was just kind of alarmed at how cleared out the shelves were even before the storm gets here. And one more thing I'd like to say. For an entire year, do you realize you've been forced to wear masks? That is something that if someone told you was coming, you would not even believe that anyone would be able to get away with that. And I've had to purchase things, which I wasn't planning on having to purchase, and really didn't have the funds to purchase, but it's important to have a little source of light like this little lantern in case the lights go out. And especially if it's days on end, you don't know how long these things are going to go out. So I just want to be prepared. And I also wanted to mention, because Laura Bennett wrote to me, I just got your card asking me if you could write a check for my book, and it wouldn't be, you wouldn't send that to me. You need to email olivepresspublisher.com, but I'll give you the address here in 1 second. You need to contact olivepressbooks@gmail.com. olivepressbooks@gmail.com. You can send an email there, olivepressbooks@gmail.com, and they will send you the address where you can send a check if that's the only avenue you have to buy the book, which is what you told me when you wrote to me. So I wanted to let you know that if you have no other way, you don't buy things online or whatever, and you use a check, that's how you can do it. And Olive Press Books will tell you where to send the check so they can order your book for you, and they'll send it directly to you after they have it made at the printer. Any support you can give to me at this time would really be helpful. So be praying for us during this upcoming storm, because, depending on how much moisture comes up from the Gulf, or how much, it's just the variant of things that could alter how much snow falls. And I can't quite imagine, like right now there's no snow on the streets. Well, except in Niwot, there was still a big pile from the last snowstorm. Was pretty deep piles when they shoveled it over with the snow plows. So I imagine this is going to be a major rare snow event. Maybe not so rare. I mean, we get these kind of snows periodically, but not every year is it that bad. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But I just wanted to report to you right in the snow zone. And I'm going to keep you updated to see what happens and how deep the snow gets. And anyway, this is interesting that they said that these heavy snows that were coming are a sign of the redemption being near. And so here we are leading up to Passover, and this is happening. And I don't want it to be where I'm buried in snow on my birthday on St. Patrick's Day next week. So I'm hoping it'll kind of clear out, and then we'll have a day where you can actually get out in your vehicle and drive around at least on that day. So anyway, if you want to help out, please do. You can send something to paypal.me/KKROCOCO. I still have that GoFund, which is gofundme.com/KKROCOCO. If you'd like to help and send a donation via the mail, it's Kimberly K. Ballard, Ballard, P.O. Box 246, Niwot, Niwot, Colorado 80544. And I doubt I'll be able to drive within the next day or two, but hopefully if you wanted to send something, it would get to me pretty soon. The better way is through the PayPal or the GoFund, so that I don't have to go to the mailbox and get it. But that doesn't mean you can't send something to the mailbox. It's just that if the roads get hard to travel within the next day or two, I may not be able to go out there. So after that I would be, so I wouldn't worry about it too much if that's the way you want to send something. But anyway, if you want to, that's fine. If not, I guess that's the way it is. So anyway, I'll talk to you soon, and please be praying that we are safe through the storm. And I'll talk to you soon. Very interesting that this is exactly what I talked about at the end of the frog video. And very interesting.